coming from our kitchen. And that's because today we're making bentos. What's a bento? Bento is lunch to go that traditionally Japanese wives prepared for their husbands. It was usually rice with some aesthetically placed meats or fish, traditionally fish and shellfish and other marine animals that they eat, and vegetables on top. But in recent years, bento became so much more. It came to the USA and moms usually make this for kids, and it can be themed, it can be decorated very elaborately, and of course Japanese moms also make that for their kids. To tell you the truth, it's not very popular here, nobody knows about it because we've got very good organized school food. Kids get warm lunch, cooked lunch in school and in kindergarten and in preschool, so we don't need to do this, but I still like to do this for my kids from time to time, or sometimes I used to do it a lot. So I thought maybe somebody might find some of these ideas useful. Also, sometimes we give our kids to grandparents for a day or two, or to some kind of activity, and sometimes there's not that much food there organized, so it's nice to have something to go. And of course, even if we go somewhere, we can pack a nicely packed lunch. It's always a nice addition. So how do we do this? Of course, you have a lot of special supplies for bento, and if you would to Google it, you will find all kind of stuff. But you can start very simple. I start with normal kids' lunch boxes. Actually, to be quite fair, I started with a little box from margarine. That was the first bento I made. But then later on, I bought some lunch boxes for my kids because they used it that much. These are very inexpensive. They're made from plastic that is not toxic, so that's why I like it. But you can also use a normal Tupperware container or something like that. Pay attention that these things are not leak proof, so you have to pack it in a way that takes that into account. And if you want to pack something hot for your kiddo, have a thermos flask. This one is great, it served a lot. It peeled off, otherwise it's great. Now, in addition to those main containers, most of kids' lunch boxes have some kind of compartments. So that's very practical if you have foods that you don't want to touch. But sometimes there are many foods that you don't want to touch, and in that case it's really nice to have some additional liners. And what I use is silicone cups for cupcakes or muffins. These work really great, especially for small kids that don't eat a lot, and you can put a little bit of dessert here and some fruits here, and it works really well. You can also make your compartments yourself from plastic, from some packaging of food. This one was from some cheese, or this one was a silicone mat for baking cookies, and I just cut it into pieces, and now I can put these pieces in between foods that I don't want to touch, if they're not runny, of course. If the kids are bigger, if the things are runnier, then you will need some small containers that seal tightly, and you can get them in all kinds of shapes. And if you don't find them, sometimes you can use even little recycled cups. This one was from Play-Doh that was made for toddlers, so it was non-toxic, you could actually eat it. So of course when it's washed it's okay for food as well. And it's great for putting a little bit of mustard or something else like this. But you can also find some nice little containers in any grocery store, bigger grocery store. Then you have some special supplies like this little container I got from my friend, but to tell you the truth, I rarely use this, really rarely. So you're totally good with just some containers. Another useful, very readily available supply are paper bags that you can put some bread just to go, because bigger kids will need a lot more food, so this kind of container will not be enough for a bigger kiddo. So I just pack them more boxes or put a bread roll or something like that. But for our project today you'll just need a cutting board, a knife and some cutters. These are cookie cutters in different shapes. Choose them according to your theme. You can get them quite cheaply in all kinds of shapes and they're great for this. Of course, if you don't have them, you can still cut those shapes just with the knife, and I used to do that for quite a while before I got my big collection of cookie cutters. For the summer bento, I'll show you how to make cute octopuses, jellyfish and crabs from wieners, because we got them from grandma and I had to use them anyway, and because a lot of people have them at home as a just-in-case food. And this bento is easier than some others that I usually make just from veggies. To make an octopus, cut an end of a wiener the size of a finger and then cut 4 slices across the cut end so you get a star-like shaped cut part with 8 partings. That is important if one of your kiddos is a sea animal enthusiast, and every single octopus in your household has to have 8 tentacles, or else... For the crab, you can use the middle of the wiener that is left over and cut 3 slices vertically from each end, so you get 4 little legs on each side. And you will still hear complaints that the crab is missing the front shears. You can make shears out of red peppers, for example, though. For the jellyfish, cut a smaller part of the end of a wiener and push some spaghetti into it. Boil some water and heat up the pan. Place the jellyfish wieners with spaghetti into the boiling water and bake the rest in the pan, turning them as you go. When the wieners are cooked, pour some tomato sauce into the bottom of container. It can be either homemade tomato sauce or a boat salsa. If your kids will eat that at home, heat it up first. Then take wieners from the hot water and place the jellyfish into the red sea of salsa. Add some baked wieners, either crab or octopus, and some decorated veggies. While the wieners were baking, I cut my veggies and cheese, but if that's too much for you, you can do it afterwards. Wash the veggies, scrape the carrots so they're nice and clean, and then cut thick slices of it. Take a star-shaped cutter and cut out little starfish from the cut carrots. To push the slices out, you can help yourself with a bamboo stick. Now repeat the same thing with sliced cheese and fish-shaped cutter. Add some lettuce for the algae to the sides of the container. In the other bento, I used store-bought condiment from red peppers called ivar and canned corn as the base. I sprinkled some fish crackers on top, and the little welcome lunch was ready for kids who came home from their stay at Grandpa's. They were thrilled to get another bento, even though it was just at home. If you liked it too, give it thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to Very Arty Fairy. As you can see, she makes me do all kinds of stuff. If you need some additional information about bento supplies, watch the video till the end. Now let's check some other supplies that you might find useful and are totally optional, and what I will show you today won't need all this. This is just in addition. For a while I made quite a lot of bentos, so I gathered some supplies. These are food markers that you can draw on food with. These are some plastic spoons that you get when you eat ice cream or something like that, and I just keep them. These are a better alternative to plastic spoons and plastic forks, but I usually just use the real kind and pack them. Since I made bento a lot, I made myself a tool that I just use for their bento. This is a scalpel and this is a needle tool, and I also have some scissors and some tweezers here. You might need this for really small details. Something that some people like to use, I don't use this often, or sweet eyes, and to eat sometimes this kind of alternative to toothpicks are quite practical. Then we have some decorations. I use this a lot for when I'm making themed lunches for with foods from one country, and these are just decorations. More of toothpicks and stuff like that. When we go somewhere and we get this little salt, I take it. This is Nigella, or you could also use black sesame seed. They're very practical to make eyes on small little things. These are oblats, and they're very practical to make faces or something like that. Here I got some lunch bags, and these are just more toothpicks and stuff like that. And of course a sheet of nori algae, because I cut faces from it, and some bamboo sticks, and a little cloth pin to keep these bags closed. See you next week with some bullet journaling. Bye bye!